Little X looked up at his father with curious eyes as they settled into their seats on the private jet. "Daddy, why are we going to see the smoke?" he asked. Elon smiled warmly at his son, adjusting the small tablet in the boy's hands. "Not just any smoke, X. Today the Cardinals are choosing a new pope. When they make their decision, they release white smoke from the chimney of the Sistine Chapel to let everyone know." X tilted his head, his 5-year-old mind working to understand this new piece of information. "What's a pope?" he inquired. "The Pope is the leader of the Catholic Church," Elon explained in simple terms. "Many people around the world look to him for guidance." X blinked innocently. "Like how people look at you?" Elon chuckled at the comparison. "It's a different kind of guidance, buddy." The truth was, this trip hadn't been part of their original plans. Elon had been scheduled for meetings in Europe when news broke that the papal conclave was nearing its conclusion. A last-minute invitation had come from an old acquaintance at the Vatican, who thought X might enjoy witnessing such a historic moment. Elon had hesitated at first. Bringing a 5-year-old to a formal event like this seemed like a gamble, but something told him it could be a meaningful experience for his son. "Will there be other kids there?" X asked, already growing bored with the educational game on his tablet. "Probably not many," Elon admitted. "This is a very serious ceremony, but I think you'll find it interesting." X's eyes lit up with a new question. "Is it like when you launch rockets?" A smile spread across Elon's face. "No explosions," he said gently. "Just tradition, something very old and important to a lot of people." X nodded with a serious expression, though Elon could tell the concept was still a bit abstract for him. The boy returned to his game, occasionally asking more questions about the Pope, the Cardinals, and why they use smoke signals instead of just texting everyone. As the plane began its descent into Rome, Elon received a message that made him raise his eyebrows. "Looks like we might have perfect timing," he told X. "My friend says they're expecting an announcement very soon." "The smoke?" X asked eagerly. "Yes, the smoke," Elon confirmed. "And then we'll see who the new pope is." What Elon didn't share with his son was that his Vatican contact had hinted at something unusual about this conclave. After an unexpectedly short deliberation, rumors were swirling that the Cardinals had chosen someone surprising, someone who might bring significant change. As they stepped off the plane into the warm Italian afternoon, a car was waiting to whisk them to Vatican City. X pressed his face against the window, watching the ancient city speed by in a blur. "Daddy, did you know the Pope before?" he asked suddenly. "No, X. I've never met any Pope," Elon replied. "Then why are we going? Is it for business?" Elon considered the question carefully. "No, not business. Sometimes it's important to witness history in the making, even if it doesn't directly affect us. Today might be one of those days." 10 nodded again, his expression unusually serious for his age. "I'll watch carefully," he promised. Their car navigated through increasingly crowded streets, and Elon's phone buzzed with news alerts. White smoke had just appeared above the Sistine Chapel. The world was about to meet its new pope. "We're just in time," Elon told X, helping him with his seatbelt as the car pulled into a reserved area. X's eyes widened as he took in the massive crowd gathering in St. Peter's Square. "There are so many people," he exclaimed. "Millions more are watching on screens all over the world." Elon explained, "What happens in the next hour will be remembered for a very long time." Little did they know just how unforgettable this day would become or how X's genuine reaction would soon captivate global attention. The car stopped at a private entrance, and security personnel quickly ushered Elon and X through a separate pathway, avoiding the dense crowds. X gripped his father's hand tightly as they moved through the ancient corridors of Vatican City. "It's like a castle," X whispered, his eyes wide as he took in the ornate architecture and artwork surrounding them. "In many ways it is," Elon replied. "This place has been important for hundreds of years." They emerged onto a balcony area reserved for special guests, with St. Peter's Square stretching out below, filled with thousands of people. The atmosphere was charged with anticipation, cameras positioned everywhere to broadcast the historic moment to viewers worldwide. X stood on his tiptoes, trying to see over the railing. Elon lifted him up for a better view. "Why are all these people here?" X asked, his voice hushed with wonder at the sea of humanity below. "They're waiting to see who the new pope will be," Elon explained, pointing to the famous central balcony of St. Peter's Basilica. "See that balcony over there? Soon someone will come out and announce the new pope's name, and then the new pope himself will appear and speak to everyone." X watched intently, his usual restless energy momentarily subdued by the solemnity of the occasion. A Swiss guard approached them, nodding respectfully to Elon. "Mr. Musk, we've been instructed to inform you that the announcement will be made momentarily. Cardinal Rover asked me to tell you personally that this selection may come as a surprise to many." "Thank you," Elon replied, his curiosity piqued. He'd been wondering why his presence had been specifically requested today. X tugged at his sleeve. "Daddy? Who's Cardinal Rover?" "He's my friend who invited us here," Elon explained. "He's one of the men who helped choose the new pope." "Can I meet him?" X asked. "Perhaps later," Elon said, his attention drawn to movement at the main balcony. The crowd below fell silent as a cardinal stepped forward. The hush that settled over St. Peter's Square was so profound that X looked around in confusion, unaccustomed to such perfect quiet from so many people. "What's happening?" he whispered. "They're about to make the announcement," Elon explained softly. The cardinal's voice rang out across the square. "Habemus Papam!" The crowd erupted in cheers. X looked up at his father. "What did he say?" "He said, 'We have a pope' in Latin," Elon replied. "Now he'll tell everyone who it is." The cardinal continued his announcement in Latin, and while Elon understood fragments, he waited for the name. Then it came, Robertus Prevost. A gasp rippled through the crowd, followed by excited murmuring. Even the typically composed Vatican officials around them looked surprised. "Prevost?" Elon muttered, recognition dawning on his face. "Do you know him, Daddy?" X asked, sensing his father's surprise. "I know of him," Elon replied. "He's not who most people expected." The cardinal finished his announcement, and the crowd waited with bated breath for the new pope to appear. X shifted impatiently in his father's arms. "Why are they surprised?" he asked, picking up on the reactions around them. Elon considered how to explain this to a 5-year-old. "Cardinal Prevost now, the Pope, he has some ideas that are different from what people are used to hearing from the church. He believes in science and technology working together with faith." "Like you do with rockets?" X asked innocently. Elon smiled. "Something like that." A movement at the balcony caught everyone's attention, and the crowd hushed again as a figure dressed in white emerged. Pope Robert Prevost, formerly Cardinal Prevost of the Netherlands, stood before the world for the first time as pontiff. X stared in fascination at the man in white. "He looks normal," he whispered, sounding almost disappointed. "What were you expecting?" Elon asked with amusement. "I don't know. Maybe a crown or magic powers," X replied. Before Elon could respond, Pope Robert began to speak. His voice was clear and strong, carrying across the square effortlessly. He spoke first in Italian, then in English, welcoming the faithful and the world to a new chapter. "Today we bridge worlds," Pope Robert said. "The ancient wisdom of faith and the promise of our future. God has given us minds to explore His creation and hearts to care for one another. Let us use both to their fullest extent." As he spoke, X's expression shifted from mild curiosity to intense focus. Something about this man had captured his attention completely. "Daddy," X whispered, not taking his eyes off the Pope. "He's talking about space." Indeed, Pope Robert had begun speaking about humanity's place in the cosmos, describing exploration and discovery as spiritual journeys. His words seemed to resonate with X in a way Elon hadn't anticipated. The speech continued, and X remained transfixed. Then, as Pope Robert finished and raised his hands to bless the crowd, something unexpected happened. He looked directly toward their balcony, and X, caught in the moment, waved energetically at the new pope. Pope Robert paused mid-blessing, his eyes locking with X's for just a moment. In that brief exchange, something remarkable occurred. Pope Robert smiled, not the formal, ceremonial smile expected of a pontiff addressing thousands, but a genuine, warm smile directed at the enthusiastic 5-year-old boy. To the astonishment of the Vatican officials, the global media, and certainly Elon himself, Pope Robert Prevost returned X's wave with a small, subtle wave of his own. The crowd noticed, cameras swiveled, and within seconds, the image of the new pope waving at Elon Musk's young son was being broadcast to billions around the world. X beamed with pure delight. "Daddy, the Pope waved at me." "Yes, he did," Elon said, equally surprised by this break in protocol during such a momentous ceremony. A Vatican official standing nearby leaned toward Elon. "His Holiness has always had a special connection with children. Before becoming a cardinal, he was known for his work with youth education programs that combine spiritual teachings with scientific exploration," Elon replied, watching as Pope Robert continued the traditional blessing. The pontiff's face had returned to its solemn expression, but something had shifted in the atmosphere. The rigid formality had been punctured by that one human moment. When the ceremony ended, X was bubbling with questions. "Can we meet him? Why did he wave at me? Does he know about Mars?" "Slow down," Elon laughed. "I don't think we'll get to meet him today. He's very busy becoming Pope." But as they turned to leave with the other special guests, the same Vatican official approached them again. "Mr. Musk, if you and your son wouldn't mind waiting a moment, Cardinal Rover would like to speak with you." They were escorted to a small, private room adjacent to the main hall. X skipped alongside his father, suddenly energized after standing still for so long. "Is the Pope coming?" he asked excitedly. "No, X," Elon explained. "We're meeting Cardinal Rover, remember? My friend who invited us." The cardinal entered the room a few minutes later, his face reflecting both exhaustion and exhilaration from the historic day. "Elon, thank you for coming," Cardinal Rover said, shaking hands. He then knelt down to X's level. "And you must be X. I saw you wave to the Holy Father." X nodded proudly. "He waved back at me." "Yes, he did," the cardinal said with a smile. That was quite unusual. Why? X asked, always direct. Cardinal Rover exchanged a glance with Elon before answering. Because today is a very formal, traditional day, with many rules. But Pope Robert has always believed that connecting with people, especially children, is more important than rules sometimes. Elon was curious now. You knew him well before? We worked together on several initiatives, Cardinal Rover confirmed. His selection was unexpected, even to many of us, but the Holy Spirit works in mysterious ways. X, growing impatient with the adult conversation, asked, Can I draw a picture for the Pope? Cardinal Rover smiled. I think he would like that very much. While X settled at a small table with paper and pencils provided by an attendant, Cardinal Rover spoke more frankly to Elon. Robert Prevost has been a controversial figure within the Church. His views on embracing scientific advancement, environmental concerns, and inclusion have made traditionalists uncomfortable. But in these times, many of us believe his vision is exactly what the Church needs. Elon nodded thoughtfully. And my invitation today, that wasn't coincidental. No, Cardinal Rover admitted. Pope Robert specifically mentioned wanting to build bridges with those shaping humanity's future. Your presence here, and especially your son's, sends a powerful message about the future the Church envisions. They glanced over at X, who was drawing with intense concentration. What's he drawing? Cardinal Rover asked. Knowing X, probably a rocket or a spaceship, Elon replied with a smile. But when X finished and proudly held up his drawing, both men were surprised. The picture showed the Pope standing between Earth and Mars, with one hand touching each planet. Above it all, X had drawn a simple cross among stars. It's the Pope connecting Earth and heaven, X explained, because that's his job, right? Cardinal Rover appeared deeply moved. Yes, young man, that is precisely his job. The Cardinal carefully took the drawing. I will personally ensure His Holiness receives this. I believe it will mean a great deal to him. As they prepared to leave, Cardinal Rover added, There's a private reception tomorrow for selected guests. His Holiness has requested your presence, both of you. Would that be possible? Elon looked at X, who was practically bouncing with excitement at the possibility. Yes, Elon decided. We can stay another day. Little did they know that overnight, the image of X waving and the Pope's response would become a global sensation, sparking conversations about the symbolism of that simple gesture between a child of one of technology's most prominent figures and the new leader of the ancient church. By the time X woke up the next morning in their hotel suite, the image had gone viral. The hashtag #PopeAndX was trending globally, with millions sharing the footage of their brief interaction. Daddy, can I see the iPad? X asked as he munched on his breakfast. Elon hesitated. He'd been scrolling through news coverage and social media reactions, not all of which he wanted his son to see. But X was persistent. I want to see if they liked my wave, he explained. They did, Elon assured him. Everyone's talking about it. Can I see? X insisted. Elon carefully selected a positive news clip and showed it to X. On screen, a smiling news anchor was saying, Perhaps the most heartwarming moment of the day came when Pope Robert Prevost broke with centuries of tradition to acknowledge a child in the crowd. Not just any child, but X, the 5-year-old son of tech entrepreneur Elon Musk. The spontaneous exchange has sparked conversations about the new Pope's priorities and his apparent desire to bridge traditional faith with modern innovation. X watched with wide eyes. I'm on TV. Yes, you are, Elon confirmed. Your wave made a lot of people happy. Why? X asked, genuinely confused about why something so simple would matter to anyone. Elon considered how to explain. Sometimes, small moments can have big meanings. The Pope is a very important person to many people around the world. When he waved at you, it showed everyone that even on his most important day, he still cares about connecting with children. 10. Seem to accept this explanation. Will he remember me when we see him today? I'm certain he will, Elon said. Their morning was interrupted by calls from Elon's team about the media frenzy. Everyone wanted comments, interviews, or statements about the symbolic moment between technological progress and religious tradition. Elon declined them all, preferring to let the moment speak for itself. As they prepared to leave for the Vatican, X insisted on wearing his favorite space-themed t-shirt under his button-up shirt. So the Pope knows I like space too, he explained seriously. The streets were even more crowded than the day before, with many people hoping for another glimpse of the new Pope. Their car was escorted through private entrances again, this time to a different section of the Vatican. This place is huge, X observed as they walked through ornate hallways. Does the Pope live in all of it? No, Elon explained. Many people work here. The Pope has his own apartment, but it's part of this big place. They were led to a reception room where about 50 people had gathered: diplomats, religious leaders, and a few other special guests. X stayed close to his father, suddenly shy among so many unfamiliar adults in formal attire. Cardinal Rover found them quickly. "Good, you're here," he said. "His Holiness will be joining us shortly. He specifically mentioned looking forward to speaking with both of you." X's eyes widened. "He remembers me?" "Indeed," the Cardinal smiled. "Your drawing made quite an impression. He has it in his private office already." Before X could respond, a hush fell over the room. Pope Robert Prevost entered, still adjusting to his new white vestments. He moved through the crowd slowly, greeting guests individually. X watched intently as the Pope spoke with each person. "He looks different today," he whispered to Elon. "How so?" Elon asked. "Happier," X decided. "Less serious." It was true the Pope's expression was more relaxed than during the formal ceremony of the previous day. He smiled easily, listened attentively, and spoke with animation. When he finally reached Elon and X, Pope Robert's face lit up with recognition. "Ah, my young friend from yesterday," he said in perfect English, kneeling down to X's level despite his formal robes. "I received your beautiful drawing. Thank you." X, suddenly overcome with shyness, managed to mumble, "You're welcome." "You have a good understanding of my job," the Pope continued. "Connecting Earth with heaven is exactly what I hope to do." 10 found his courage. "My daddy connects Earth with space. He builds rockets." Pope Robert nodded seriously. "Yes, I know. And that's very important work, too." He looked up at Elon. "Mr. Musk, thank you for bringing your son yesterday. Sometimes we need to see the world through children's eyes to remember what matters most." "It was our honor," Elon replied, genuinely impressed by the Pope's warmth. "I have a question," X said suddenly, his voice clear and curious. The adults around them fell silent, many turning to watch this unexpected exchange. "Of course," Pope Robert encouraged. "What would you like to know? If people go to Mars someday, will God still hear their prayers from so far away?" The question, simple yet profound from the child's perspective, created a ripple of reaction through the room. Some smiled at the innocents. Others looked interested in how the Pope would respond. Pope Robert didn't hesitate. God hears all prayers, no matter how far we travel. Distance doesn't matter to God. The stars and planets are all part of His creation, and He is present everywhere, even on Mars. X nodded, satisfied with this answer. Then, with the directness only children possess, he added, "My daddy is going to help people get to Mars. Maybe you could come visit when we have a city there." Several gasps and chuckles sounded around them. Inviting the Pope to Mars was certainly not on anyone's diplomatic script for the day. But Pope Robert laughed warmly. "I would be honored to bless humanity's efforts to expand into the heavens. Perhaps not personally, as I'm getting a bit old for space travel, but the Church will always follow where humanity goes." He placed his hand gently on X's head in a brief blessing. "Keep asking good questions, young man. Faith and curiosity go hand in hand." As the Pope moved on to greet other guests, cameras that had been allowed into the reception captured the entire exchange. Within minutes, the second interaction between Pope Robert and little X was being broadcast around the world, a follow-up that would only amplify the impact of their first meeting.